And we're up. What's up? Stu Myrick, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, The Horn, 1049 AM, 1260, 1019 FM, right here in the beautiful ATX. How you doing? How you doing this week? This week should be a whole lot less crazy than last week with presidential election and all that other jazz. We got enough craziness going on, especially with the pandemic and everything else that's been going on. So this week we will, like I said, we will recap AEW Dynamite. I'll say it now before Justin gets here that was probably their best pay-per-view to date. Now understand, they've had 8. Well, I guess 9. I guess Fyter Fest 2019 was a pay-per-view. So they've had 9. So not exactly a big history, but hey, I think that one might have been the best one since the beginning. So it was great. You know, we saw the Bucks win the tag titles. We saw Darby Allen win the TNT title. All sorts of crazy stuff. Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston in a match where you really did think that someone was going to have to die. I definitely did not know. I would have told you who would have quit, but hey, somebody did. So, and it was Eddie Kingston. It was one of those where you could tell he didn't want to quit, but Moxley had the choke on him, the rear choke, whatever, and they had that barbed wire wrapped around his arm, which was grinding right up against Kingston's neck, and there was no way to get out of it. So he had to do the right thing and quit. So Jon Moxley still your AEW World Champion. And then we saw at the very end where Kenny Omega, who won the, I don't know why they don't just call it number one contender tournament. World Title Contender Eliminator tournament. Beat Hangman Page earlier in the night. So anyway, so looks like that could be our next world title program. We'll see. Maybe they decide to do something in between. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow night on TNT on AEW Dynamite. We might get in some Survivor Series updates. Honestly, there isn't much. They added Riddle to the Raw team, and honestly, the Survivor Series has become kind of boring. Just because you got the champion versus champion matches, which that could be interesting. But honestly, the Survivor Series matches themselves, the men's and women's matches, it's the same story with all of them. None of the teams can get along. And you got people fighting to be captain, and it's kind of silly. So anyway, the first segment is already in the can. Late last week, I had a chance, just surprise opportunity to talk to Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Rocky Romero, which that was a little bit of a surprise. It was originally just going to be Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers. Then I was informed before the interview took place that Rocky Romero was going to join in, which I love Rocky to death. He's great. So I was thrilled. So that is in the can. You'll hear that tomorrow night on the Horn, and you can get the podcast. The podcast will likely be up by tomorrow morning, or if you want to wait till 10 p.m. Central on the Horn, you can hear it then. It was a great conversation. If you have not heard, and if you haven't heard, where have you been? Not only are the Good Brothers vying for the tag titles in Impact at Turning Point this weekend on Impact Plus, But lo and behold, they have decided to do a sequel to the hashtag worst pay-per-view ever. That's right. Talking Shop of Mania 2. That will be this Friday on pay-per-view providers and Fight TV. And because it's on Fight TV, we have a code to give away so you can watch it for free. And you know how we do these things. All you got to do is follow us on Twitter at SGTWATX. Follow Fight TV at Fight TV. And follow Talking Shop, the podcast, their podcast, at Talking Shop. So make sure you follow those three. Then you go to our Twitter page. And the first tweet you see, it's a pinned tweet, you'll see the poster and you'll see the tweet that describes this contest. Basically, all you do is like and retweet the tweet. That's it. Friday at noon Central, we'll pick a winner. I'll contact you via direct message, let you know you've won it, send you the code and how to redeem it. And then you get to watch Talking Shop of Mania 2 for free. Hashtag worse than the first. So anyway, that'll be fun. It's Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, so you know it's going to be fun. As Justin Simmons comes in dressed in his USA soccer jersey or kit. What do you call it? Jersey kit? What do you call it? Turn your microphone. There you go.
Well, technically speaking, it's just a shirt or a jersey because technically the kit is supposed to be
the whole thing, right?
The whole outfit.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I learned a few things.
But
did you get to see McCalla play? Did you get to see the new Austin FC Stadium?
I mean, I live right next to it.
You do.
I was like, I see it like almost every week.
Well, apparently, so.
But
apparently
no, I didn't get to do the tour. No.
Yeah, there's media preview. I was not able to make it, but our friends at the various TV stations.
Everybody pretty much got to take a look at the at the new stadium. But I
drove by it today.
I drove by it like almost every day because I live in that neighborhood.
There.
So I'm like, oh man, yeah, it looks pretty cool. Of course, the big question is how are you going to get there?
Right. How are you going to get there? Where are you going to park? Are we going to be to the point where we can allow fans?
Yeah, right now the question is when the season's going to start.
Right. I saw a promo. I was flipping channels, and I think I was catching like the tail end of an MLS game or may have been some other league, and they had a promo for Austin FC. I want to say it's sometime in the spring of 2021.
If you drive around town and you look at the billboards, there's a few for Austin FC.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, we've been saying we wanted it, so I'm assuming that. I mean, obviously the honeymoon phase is going to be strong. So
honeymoon phase will be strong.
People are committed. So that first game, whenever it is, and however many people are allowed in, will sell out easily.
Right.
That for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's the first. I guess you can call it a major pro sports league franchise in Austin.
It's been around
now I guess 5 if you count MLS, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, and now MLS.
I was going to say, well, technically speaking, the Austin Gilgronis is what they'll be known now. They beat Austin FC.
Who's Austin? What?
Gilgronis.
Who is that?
Well, they'll probably go by the AGs most of the time, but the Gilgronis, that's what the MLR team is named now.
MLR?
Major League Rugby.
Rugby. Okay. I had a feeling, but I didn't want to assume.
And then technically speaking, if you want to go back to the first real pro team, we have like some ultimate team, like ultimate frisbee team.
Yeah, I'm talking about
they're pro.
The leagues that actually have like a TV contract and
they do. They're on the Ocho.
Again, the Ocho shows up like once or twice a year on ESPN.
That's still more coverage than some of the sports I've seen.
This is true.
What was it that they had on Election Day last week when we were taping this? They had my friend did the commentary. They did shuffleboard.
Shuffleboard, yeah. There's there's cornhole, of course, the American Cornhole League. I have several friends that are like diehard cornhole players.
How is that any different than Ultimate? It's pro. I hate to say it. They get
It is
paid
pro.
for it, man.
Notice what I said. Major pro sports league.
Okay.
And there's, as far as I know, there's only 5.
You're like their association.
Yeah. It's So
there'll be more as time continues on.
Yeah.
And I mean, lacrosse has 2 leagues. We just don't do lacrosse here.
yeah, That is lacrosse more of maybe a Midwestern deal. I don't know.
It's definitely blue blood.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the people that have money play lacrosse.
Okay.
But it's also a Native American sport because they're the ones that invented it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I think I've heard that.
There are indigenous Americans that are really good at it.
Yeah.
But never had the representation until recently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know too much about the sport myself, but I do know that there is like one prominent player that's professional that is indigenous. So like he's become a big marketing tool for their league.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But there's an indoor and there's an outdoor variation.
Right.
And they're both popular with people that play lacrosse.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, cool. I was just telling them about the Talking Shop interview, and
So bad they had to do it twice, huh?
they're doing a second one. And like I said, you'll hear the interview tomorrow on the Horn, so you'll hear why they're doing a second one, and we are giving away Fight TV code. And I just told you how to qualify, so you can see #worse than the first.
Man, can it possibly be worse than the first? I mean, the first one's pretty bad.
From what I gather,
for what it is.
Okay, I will say this from my conversation with the Good Brothers and Rocky Romero.
Azucarrak.
They are saying yes.
Ultimately, yes.
They have found a way.
Seedier?
There's talk of blowing budgets on one match.
Wow.
They're going to bring back a lot of the faces that you saw in the first Talking Shop. And it's, I just, like I said, you'll hear the interview. Just, check out the interview. I love those guys. I do. It's going to be funny.
Whenever they do Talking Shop 3, we have to find a way on that card because it seems like anything goes. That's what it seems like right now.
That's it. We will find our way onto Talking Shop a Mania 3. If there's a third. I guess, then again, we didn't think there'd be a number 2. So
there wasn't supposed to be a second one, Stu.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a first one.
This is going to be their WrestleMania.
It is. And I'm going to enjoy it. I'm watching. I'm going to enjoy it.
Thanks to our friends at Fight.
Thanks to our friends at Fight TV. Yes. So, all right. So let's kick off the Full Gear recap, and discuss all the stuff that's happening in that. If we have time, we'll hit a little bit on the Survivor Series build, but honestly, there isn't much. So, here we go.
They built us bigger than ever, stronger than ever, forever. Rocky.
What's up, everybody? This is Rocky Asuka Romero, and you are listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Yo, and Rocky, we about to make Roppongi 3K.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Stu Myrick, joined by Justin the Smash Simmons.
How's it going?
It was good to hear from Rocky, as well as from Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson.
So bad that they decided to do this again.
A second
Did we
one.
really need a second?
Somebody did.
I'm still going to watch, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Of course we're going to watch.
I just want to see how crazy this could possibly be.
Like
But
I said,
judging from what went down,
in the first one,
not only that, but from the interview that you had with them, it seems like it's up to interpretation. Anything can happen.
Hey,
Woo.
it's going to be mad scientist in the lab type stuff. So, yeah, again, big thanks to the Good Brothers and Rocky Romero for joining me in that first segment. AEW Full Gear was this past Saturday. I dare say, now, of course, we're talking a short history. I think this is now pay-per-view number 9 in the existence of All Elite Wrestling.
I mean, that's a better guess than I was going to have.
I think
was
it's
going to go
9.
10, so somewhere around there.
Because they've had 4 in 2020. I think they did 5 because I think Fyter Fest was a pay-per-view in 2019. I would dare say this might have been the best of the 9.
It definitely had the most hype going into it, and it definitely lived up to the most hype coming out of it.
And we were a little afraid of that because especially the Bucks and FTR.
Yeah,
that match alone, the expectation for that match was through the roof.
Well,
and I dare say they delivered. Now, I don't know if any of us expected it to be, and I got to join in on the post-event media scrum Saturday night, and I can't remember if it was Nick Jackson or if it was Tony Khan that basically called that match a love letter to tag team wrestling because of all the different callbacks to tag teams past and present.
I mean, for as much as people like to hate on the Bucks, just because they've really changed tag team wrestling, they added to what they were the evolution of what the Hardys and Edge and Christian and all them were doing during their heyday, and they kind of taken it to another level. But I understand where people will be like, nothing but spots, But with the guys that they were going against, plus them, all true, real historians of the game. And knowing pro wrestling history, being able to go back and show off that knowledge through their story in the ring is what made it special, is because they have the ability to do that, and you don't get that with everyone. Sometimes you get great athletes, but they gave you that extra with their athleticism because of their knowledge.
Not to mention the story that led up to the match.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Bucks, it was getting frustrating, quite frankly, to watch them the last several weeks with this whole, they would super kick Tony Schiavone, they would super kick a ref, and they, it's like, what are they doing? And then finally you see it come full circle, and they finally redeem themselves. They get the tag titles. As I said, paying homage to tag teams. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised when FTR paid homage to DIY from Ciampa and Gargano.
Well, I mean, they all went against each other, and that was
was a huge rivalry in NXT.
And not only that, I mean, you go back and look at those matches, and those are classics.
Yes,
classics. I mean, these guys, FTR. I mean, you want to talk about long sale? I mean, these guys were building this feud since WWE.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they are the epitome of what. I guess I can't say that because, I mean, the Bucks were so good, but I mean, FTR is like the epitome to me of what tag team wrestling is supposed to be.
Yes.
All in good, cutting off the ring, the psychology, the movements, the seamlessness where one guy and the other guy are pretty much interchangeable because they are so fluid. And it's just like, wow. I mean, it was just maestros going at it.
And the little touches, like for instance, the team that preaches no fists, no flips, just fists, loses by attempting a flip.
Yeah, Ric Flair had won the title coming off the top rope before, and that's why he continued to go to the top rope each and every match. Right,
but that's what I'm saying. FTR, they were, they don't do so. But in that match, towards the end, was it Dax that tried to hit the 450 off the top rope?
But that's what makes it beautiful.
And got caught, and Matt.
Yeah.
And they pinned him,
but I'm saying that's what makes it, because they felt that they needed to resort to something out of the game plan in order to get the victory.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it awesome because you knew that it was dire at that point. Like they couldn't put him away. This is what he felt it was going to take, and they never do it.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
The buy-in match.
But before you move on,
yes,
can we say? If that injury to Matt Jackson was legitimate going into the match, because I was fearing that was going to put the match off. I don't know how he went through that.
So he did confirm it during that post-event media scrum. He confirmed that yes, it was. I'm going to try to find. It was something sprain MCL. Is it, or maybe a thinning of the MCL?
That's what I remember
with a slight
seeing.
Tear. So, ankle, knee, his back of the knee. Let's not forget he also broke a rib a few months ago.
Yeah. I mean, ribs never really heal. So,
yeah, for him to get through that match with what they were doing, all the credit in the world to
I was
Matt.
like, no offense, but I'm like, whatever they used to put in his knee and shot him up, a la Every Given Sunday.
Yeah.
Because we know every pro team.
They do.
It
happens.
It happens. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're
happens
hurting,
in
you have to
pro
perform.
sports.
This
Yeah.
is how you make your money. The
Absolutely.
show must go on. That's what makes them professionals, is
Absolutely.
being willing to sacrifice their body and go through the pain in order to entertain the crowd.
Yeah.
But wow, I mean, just the physicality of that match and everything they were pulling off for him to be hurt like that,
Good
just
stuff.
another level.
Absolutely. And of course, this isn't the last time these two teams will face each other. There'll be more.
Oh, definitely.
Of course.
And there needs to be.
Of course, there has to be. Interesting that they led off with an AEW signed wrestler defending the NWA Women's World Title against a wrestler that had just gotten her release from the NWA in Allison Kay. So Serena Deeb, Allison Kay, good match. Saw at the end, Serena Deeb successfully defends. Thunder Rosa comes out. She's wanting her rematch, the former champion. So we'll see where that goes. I wonder, and Tony Khan was asked about where this, cooperation between AEW and the NWA goes.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say it. I think, he said that their top priority is still the AEW Women's World Title. Now it's still held by Hikaru Shida, but he's obviously open to more, workings with Billy Corgan and the NWA. So,
well, I mean,
why not?
The NWA Women's Championship is kind of functioning as in their case, their TNT title, and in the WWE case, it's functioning as the Intercontinental Championship of sorts. So you're getting to see what would be essentially mid-card talent get a chance to prove themselves to be worthy of Shida and going into the main event. And obviously, I feel that Thunder Rosa, Deeb, they've already shown that they can main event.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
in order to keep those storylines going, they have to be chasing something.
Let's talk about the main event. Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston. Our friend Simon Miller does this bit on his ups and downs on What Culture, where anytime he talks about Eddie Kingston, he brings down this device that's supposed to indicate whether Eddie Kingston thinks that what he's doing is real. In other words, it's not a work.
Yeah.
And it almost always says, no, he thinks it's real. And what I saw in that match from both Moxley and Kingston, I really thought somebody was going to die. I mean, it was just the story itself, it was nuts.
Okay, I have to admit, I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I felt that it was a little over theatrical in a sense.
Okay.
Like there was too much playing to the crowd to me, and it's no disrespect to their work. I see what they were going for,
right.
And obviously they put on a great match because it was just gruesome and vicious, and it's not for the weak of heart. That is for sure.
No,
but just psychologically for me, and
Yeah.
I've just been watching a lot of old school wrestling stuff. It's all like I never understood why would you take barbed wire and wrap it around your own hand to punch somebody else because that hurts you. I didn't understand the finish because it's like. I understand that there's extra pressure being applied with the so-called barbed wire against the neck, but at the same time, it's like, wow, you're slicing open your arm where there is a severe number of like veins and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it seems kind of like not just ingenuous, but kind of like something that doesn't necessarily work with what you're trying to achieve because you're hurting yourself more than the other person.
Right, I get that, and it was the same thing with the barbed wire bat shots.
Yes,
as well.
Exactly.
You didn't see as much bleeding as you would expect. Now, I think we can figure out that was not like true, like what we'd find on the fence.
Oh, it's
back 40. It's designed to look a whole lot worse. Like all things in pro wrestling, make it look a whole lot worse than it really is.
But I thought that they had already achieved that with the thumbtacks. That the extra barbed wire was And going back to barbed wire after you have thumbtacks, I just kind of feel like, well, this is a much better visual because you can see the thumbtacks. It's like, why are we continuing to use the barbed wire as the main focus point of this match?
And then Eddie Kingston grabbing the rubbing alcohol from
funny.
That was funny, and at the same time made me wince.
Oh,
yeah, you imagine what that feels with one prick, and now you got multiple on your back, and now it's getting rubbing alcohol poured all over it.
It's like when you get an allergy test. I don't know if you ever had that done, but they go and they prick like a little piece of your back, like all the way down those multiple lines. Yep. So, and they put the alcohol on it afterwards, and you get that slight sting, but it's that nice coolness because it's all, it's all been cleaned. So,
Darby Allen, the first, shall we say, non-WWE wrestler to win a title in AEW.
This is true. And I called this one.
Yeah. You had both title changes right. You got those right.
Surprisingly. I just felt that this was, if they were going to do it for Darby, this was the perfect time.
It made total sense. Great story again. We had Team Taz come out afterwards, attack Darby, and then you had Will Hobbs come out and run him off, although there's some that are saying, well, maybe that's just the ploy because he didn't really hit anybody from Team Taz.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I mean, once you hold gold, though, everybody should be chasing you.
That's right.
That's good. That's a good psychological play.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Elite deletion?
We've seen it before. Now, I will say that, I mean, it's hard to top what was done the first time.
Yes.
It's hard to make The Godfather Part 2.
Right.
A lot of times it ends up like The Godfather Part 3.
Yes.
Now, this was probably somewhere in between for me. I just felt that this feud needs to get back into a wrestling ring more so
actually,
than anything else.
I
think it's ended now.
Yeah, I think this was the blow-off.
Because they stuffed him in the trash can.
Right.
Now, I will say that I did laugh because it was like, Gangrel?
Yes.
Hurricane
Gangrel
Helms?
and Hurricane Helms.
What you talking about?
Making appearances, especially the callback to Hurricane Helms getting kidnapped during that Halloween special they did on the WWE Network. So they did the callback to that. I mean, just good stuff. And Gangrel, good Lord. And we've seen him live. I saw him just a few months ago in Fort Worth. Good Lord, he looks like he can still go at an incredibly high rate.
I mean, he still wrestles in Total Championship Wrestling
Plus
in Florida.
He still has his school.
And he has his school still.
Our friend Cahagas works with him on that one.
Yes. I think Cahagas right now is TCW heavyweight champion, the former NWA heavyweight champion. Right. So, I mean, he's still looking in great shape. That's what really kind of helped bring it back to me. It was like the callbacks. But other than that, I felt like, I understand the callback to the golf cart. I get what they're going for. I like the fact that they're being physical. I mean, but at the same token, there were also parts where I'm like, oh man, it looked like Sammy really did hit the back of his head on the cement.
Well, I think that was done. That was one of those things because you saw him come off, but you didn't. It wasn't on camera that he hits the floor.
Oh,
Either comes around and there's Sammy with a. So hopefully that was staged. I don't know why they did it that way. I would have rather not see that at all.
That's what I was saying. It was like, okay, for something that they taped, it's all like there had to have been a safer way to hit that spot than him having to actually go through the table onto the cement to risk the injury.
It was fun. I don't know. I have the feeling that maybe we're starting to kind of jump the shark on these now, but it was fun.
Well, I mean, I felt they jumped the shark the first time. Now we're jumping the shark plus the moon.
Well, and it sounds like maybe Matt Hardy is going to get back to being Matt Hardy. We're not going to see the Broken Universe much anymore, although I could be wrong. We'll see.
Or he just takes it in a completely different direction.
Which
we did see.
He's that creative.
That was Senor Benjamin that drives off, right?
It was Senor Benjamin.
So you just never know.
Which if you did know, pull the curtain back a little bit, that's Rebby's dad.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know that. Anyway, good stuff all around from AEW. We'll come. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we will let you know what's happening in independent wrestling this weekend. Plus, New Japan has announced 3 matches for Wrestle Kingdom 15. You'll hear about that next on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Yeah, all in all, it was a fun pay-per-view. It didn't seem. I mean, it went. If you count the pre-show match, it went right at 4 hours, I think.
I just felt that Final Deletion went too long.
That was me. Yeah.
I guess that's what I was trying to get to. It was just good for what it was, but it was too much. It was too long. Like if they were able to kind of cut it down,
right,
it would have been fine.
Yeah, that's again, and there's still little things like I had on here. So at the end of the Sheeta Nyla match, Nyla Rose loses. Vicky Guerrero gets in the ring, starts screaming at Nyla, and Nyla Rose, looks like she's about to put Vicky Guerrero through the ring, and Vicky slaps her, and then that was it. And I was a little confused. Maybe I assume there's a story, so maybe we'll find out tomorrow night on Dynamite where that goes.
I would hope that they come back and answer that.
Yeah.
That was a little out of character.
Orange Cassidy, John Silver was what you expect. That was a fun match.
Well, so does he only show up for pay-per-views?
Who?
Orange Cassidy or
no? He's there for Dynamite.
No, but I mean, you have to remember, I really don't follow the weekly product for AEW.
Right.
There's
so much wrestling.
There's so much, but does he wrestle like Orange Cassidy used to wrestle still, or now he just goes all out every time?
I think it's a mix. It's a mix because he had where he went all out against Jericho, and now we're seeing kind of that balance. And it's one of those things where, he still does the comedy bit with the soft kicks and stuff. He still does the Orange Cassidy gimmick, but then there'll be a point where a switch is flipped, and then he turns into, just goes at it 110%.
Yeah, because that was always going to be the big question was how are you going to handle it after you try?
Right.
Because now that we've seen him try, it's all like, well, do you still love him because you've seen what he can do? Because he's a good wrestler.
I think people do.
Or do you or do you just not like the part? It's hard to balance the.
It is very hard to balance.
Like I gotta know, when do you determine that you're not going to try, and when are you going to try? Because I only caught the clips, so throughout the whole match, I felt like he was trying. So I didn't see any clips of the old Orange Cassidy from what I saw.
He did a little bit like he would do the soft kicks. He had a thing where he put his hands in the pockets, and then after an exchange, John Silver tears the pockets off the hands.
Okay.
So
that makes sense
because they were trying to make it. I think Excalibur and Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross were trying to make it sound like him putting his hands in his pockets. That's his power source. That's when he hulks up. So
I guess.
So,
however they can sell it. I don't hate him. Give him credit. He's been able to get where he is. He's been grinding for all those years, and he's a good performer. He's done it against Le Champion. So
he has.
So he can bring it. It's kind of hard to continue the story.
MJF Jericho.
Oh, that's the one we should have been talking about on the radio. How dare we? How dare we disrespect MJF like that?
Stop it. I think it was because it was expected, maybe.
Yeah, but nobody expected it to happen the way it happened.
It was good. It was very creative.
We talk about callbacks,
and we always, and like I said, look, I joke. Look, I joke. MJF, the character, is an absolute piece of trash. Max Friedman, though, is a sound wrestler. He's a good kid too. That was absolutely creative. It was great to see those two work a match together and doing, like you said, doing the callback and everything. In the end, MJF and I guess Wardlow too,
that's
by
what he said.
Acclamation, is now part of the Inner Circle
by association.
We'll see what happens when that continues.
Stu, just because they're part of the Inner Circle doesn't mean that they can't get jumped by the Inner Circle.
This is true.
I've been on teams where just because you're on the same team doesn't mean you're friends.
Because remember, you had Santana, Ortiz, and Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
In North Carolina doing the Elite Deletion. Jake Hager, on last Wednesday on Dynamite, he was staring daggers through Wardlow. So you gotta imagine that's going to be a match eventually. So
Yeah, you can be on the same team and not get along. So
Yeah, just look at the bill to Survivor Series. That's
could've-
why we didn't go into that, because
Who could've
honestly,
foresaw that?
I'm bored with that.
you not excited by the prospects of these guys battling it out to represent their brand for no reason?
I like the champion versus champion matches. I think those will be fun.
Yeah, but don't they have Clash
hate
of
to-
Champions coming up right after this?
No, they just did Clash of Champions.
Well, what's the
They
last
have
one?
they have a pay-per-view in December. I forget what it's
Oh,
called.
it's Night of Champions?
No, it's.
Oh, well, whatever the
Hold
December
on.
one is. I thought that was
We still got
another-
to do the third segment. We got time. What is the?
I thought that one was another one of those all championships are defended on this night.
Let's see. So what is the December pay-per-view? December pay-per-view is. No, it's TLC.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
TLC.
I feel, man, TLC, that's too brutal of a pay-per-view for the talent to have on December. It's kind of unfair.
And December 20th on top of that.
Really unfair. I mean, granted, I know what you're going to
The
say.
Sunday before Christmas.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, well, they haven't had to travel that much this year, so it can't be that bad.
This is true.
And it's like, well, in comparison to what they normally do, I guess it can't be that bad.
Right.
But still,
Well, and we're not talking ECW level of TLC.
no.
yeah.
But you think about where this derives from, and what
Lana versus Nia Jax in a tables match. That's got to happen. Because we've seen Lana put through a table 8 weeks in a row.
Yeah, but I'm just like, she's just gonna get put through another one unless she trips her or something and magically gets Nia to fall into the table. That's the only conceivable way I can see this happening.
By the way, it made me think of you. So I had heard rumor innuendo that in fact they are trying to portray Lana as a babyface.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Except they're not doing a good job of it.
No, and they do this all the time where they try to do something that
And
they
it's
feel
like they think they're doing it, and it's everybody else is going, no, the same thing. And I heard a rumor that now I don't think that happened this Monday, but allegedly, again, you gotta take these with a grain of salt. But there was a report somewhere that was saying that they want the Fiend as a babyface, and Alexa Bliss by association.
I mean, you can do it, but it's gonna have to be retooled immensely.
I mean,
It's kind of like having face Doink. I mean, it could be done, but it's so much better as a heel.
well, that's the thing. The concept of Doink was the evil clown that,
Which made it great.
right. And same thing with the Fiend. You can't have. It would be like. It would be like the missing link as a face.
But he was a face. We've gone over this.
I know we've gone over
But
that.
I was going to say...
I did. It was weird, but
Exactly. But I mean, think about it. The Undertaker was never supposed to be a face.
true.
And you end
But
up...
the Undertaker doesn't look as gruesome as the Fiend, either.
No, not necessarily. But then Kane got a face run. I mean,
Everybody, yeah.
everybody gets a face run.
I suppose.
What about the Big Show?
More turns than a NASCAR race.
I
Or
mean,
should I say an F1 race?
And honestly, the Fiend is the same way.
By the way, I saw they
at least Bray
they
Wyatt
confirmed
is.
we do get the U.S. Grand Prix back in October of 2021.
Well, we'll just see if there's any fans that are allowed to attend by then.
Lewis Hamilton hopefully go for, because he's about to win. This will be number 8.
That ties Schumacher.
Well, he
Or what?
tied. He's already gone past Michael Schumacher in number of race wins.
Yeah.
I think this will tie Michael Schumacher as far as
Yeah,
world
championships, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, and they were showing a thing about who's going to be driving for who next year, and there's still some openings. There's one. Apparently, they're gonna replace. Who is it? Is it Albon that races for Red Bull with Max Verstappen? I forget. Anyway, yeah.
You gonna try out or what?
I'm going. No, I'm not going to try. No, I like my spot in the media center there, Dakota. Anyway, yeah. So all in all, it was a great. I thought it was a great pay-per-view. I think they did a fantastic job, and hats off to Tony and everybody there.
I think they gave a very well-rounded product.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, in case you have not seen it tonight, they did announce AEW Games. Now, I am not a gamer. What's your favorite wrestling video game?
Ha! I'm old, so I think everybody will agree that WWE at the time, No Mercy for the Nintendo 64 is probably the best one made. But then there's a lot of people that play Fire Pro Wrestling.
Okay, so apparently both of those were referenced in this announcement, and apparently the man that designed No Mercy is on the team to design AEW's console game?
Yes, that's what I've heard, that they're bringing in the people that worked at Ukes.
Yes.
And so Ukes had development in the old THQ games, which ran off of the engine that you saw in WCW versus NWO,
right,
that you saw in WCW World Tour, that you would see in WWF 2000, WrestleMania 2000, and then, of course, the aforementioned No Mercy.
Right.
I know about my video games when it comes to wrestling, that's for sure.
A man named Gata and Ukes. There will be 2 mobile games available even sooner, including an AEW Casino. Double or Nothing is anticipated to launch this winter, and then AEW Elite GM will launch later in 2021.
See, I'm not
So
a
mobile
mobile
games.
I'm not a mobile gamer because they're always cash grabs.
Oh, okay? Here, who it is? Newest member of AEW Games, team member Hideki Gata Iwashita.
Yep.
Best known for his work on the critically acclaimed WWF No Mercy for 5th generation consoles.
Now, I've seen the screenshots that they have. They have some really early build screenshots, and it does have that reminisce. And I mean, they're not like all polygonal like they were during that generation of gaming, but I can see where, like, the way that they're standing, the way that they have it shot, like it does have a lot of similarities to how those old Ukes games were. Now, if they're going to perform the same way, well, they could easily take the top spot when it comes to wrestling games if that's the case.
Well, as of right now, yeah. I mean, there's... So anyway, you can follow them on Twitter at AEW Games. Also, they got a YouTube page, Instagram, and Facebook are at Play AEW Games. They even have merchandise. You can get a T-shirt at shopaew.com.
Now, before we jump back into finishing the radio part of the show, we posed a question last week.
The poll question.
Right. Now, before you even get into that poll question, I want to bring this up because I'm not sure who's watching, or if is this like our podcast happen? Is that what we'll take this as?
Except we're not. We're going to record. We'll just do it just for YouTube. So there you go.
Oh,
special for YouTube.
Well, then I was thinking probably too much about this, but is the honky tonk man an occupation? Because he's not Elvis, and he's not a musician, right? He's like a Elvis impersonator. He doesn't even learn how to play the guitar. And
I would say no.
And they even make fun of him about him, like, because I've seen some old things, like the real Elvis is turning in his grave right now or whatever. But but people have Elvis impersonator as an occupation. There are people that make a living off of playing Elvis, and that was honky tonk careers. Honky tonk man's whole career was being an Elvis impersonator. So isn't that an occupation in WWE standards, or is that like? That's what I was trying to figure out this whole weekend, Stu. Is like, is that just an occupation? Because he's not a musician, right? His occupation was Elvis impersonator.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Because he couldn't play the guitar. He couldn't even sing.
Well, here's the results. We posed the question because it was election day. What's your favorite profession portrayed in 1990s WWF? And we asked if it isn't listed, reply with your own. We didn't get a reply. So it was split between IRS, tax accountant, and Repo Man, the Repo Man.
Because everybody loves the Repo Man.
Well, I put that in for Simon because he's in, and then Isaac Yankum for the dentist. Teal Hopper got no votes.
You mean tell me it was a 3-way tie?
No,
Oh.
No, two-way. It was either IRS, it was tax accountant and repo man.
IRS is the best occupation.
So.
It should have been IRS. Mike
Well,
Rotunda.
Yeah. Well, but remember, we were just talking about the occupation, not necessarily the...
Yes, exactly.
Not necessarily the man that...
I don't think anybody else could have pulled off the sweaty in pantsuit look as well as Rotunda did. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true. That was another. Although I will admit, that was one that I was always a little sad about because I remember Mike Rotunda from the Varsity Club and, his stint in the NWA. So then they put him in this tax accountant gimmick and it was kind of like, oh.
What's worse for Mike Rotunda, the tax accountant gimmick or Captain Mike Rotunda? And the unexplained hat.
What are you talking about? The captain was because he was a legit collegiate wrestler.
No. He was called Captain Mike Rotunda, and they gave him a sailor hat.
Because the sailor hat was silly.
Exactly.
They called him captain because that was when Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, the Varsity Club.
Yeah, Varsity Club. So you had him, you had Rick Steiner.
Yeah, Sullivan was the only one that wasn't a real amateur wrestler. But the hat, come on.
That was kind of weird.
that made no sense.
That is. Yeah. So, all right, let's do this.
The devil lay in the distance. He's in your six. I sold my soul.
I'm the big LG Doc Gallows, and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. I'm Six Ferguson, buddy! Yay! And you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Oh, that gets me all the time. Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the horn. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons.
Oh, man. I was going to say, are people still listening to us now?
I tell you what, they have quickly become, and three now that Rocky is with them, three of my favorite guests.
Oh, man.
I hope we get them on every chance we get.
They are so funny.
They are.
I think they just crack me up, and they have some real far out ideas, but I like the way that they go about the execution of them.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to take chances.
Well, and as I told him, we're kindred spirits. Because at the end of the day, we all believe pro wrestling should be fun.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be
fun. It's supposed to make you smile and laugh and cheer and
Don't forget that pro wrestling is Broadway's cousin.
That's right.
Maybe the one that might live in the hills in Tennessee, but it's its cousin nonetheless.
That's true. Speaking of pro wrestling and the independent variety, we've got some independent shows to tell you about this weekend. We will start this Friday. Sabotage Wrestling is back with The Fire Burns Again. This Friday at the Rolling Oaks Mall in San Antonio. Bell time 8 p.m. Ion will be there. Delilah Doom, Rachel Rose, and Alejandra Lyon, among others, at Sabotage Wrestling this Friday in San Antonio. The next day, New Texas Pro Wrestling will be in that very same mall, Rolling Oaks Mall in San Antonio, with Popovich. I wonder if Coach will be there. There's this Saturday.
There might be a cutout.
Maybe. Bell time 8 p.m. Mysterious Q will be there. Manders, T-Ray, and Max Hikes, among others. New Texas Pro Wrestling this Saturday in San Antonio. Also this Saturday here in Austin, America's Academy of Pro Wrestling will present Papa Don's Knockdown Drag Out Birthday Bash. That is this Saturday at the AEW Arena, 1702 Aldridge, here in Austin. Bell time 8 p.m. We will be celebrating Ray Campus, Papa Don, his birthday. Steve Arena will be there. Eli Schwartz, plus many other wrestlers. Plus, there will be a drag queen show.
It's Austin, baby. I love it.
It is Austin. So make sure you're there. If you can't be there, stream it on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. Just search America's Academy of Pro Wrestling. That's AEPW this weekend.
This is still BYOB?
In Austin. It is still BYOB. Cans only, please. Again, masks, social distancing, wear your mask, all that good stuff. And check that out this weekend. And there's I think Heavy Metal Wrestling is tomorrow night.
Nice.
They're doing a taping. It's got like I think they're only letting in like 15 or 20 people in, but they're doing a taping. So
Hey, it's good to
slowly but surely, we're seeing some cards.
Just do me a favor. Just take your precautions because the numbers are going up.
Numbers going up, so please take your precautions. Real quick, we are 2 months away, less than 2 months away from Wrestle Kingdom 15.
I still can't believe that.
New Japan Pro Wrestling. Once again, 2 nights, January 4th and 5th. They're in the Tokyo Dome. They've announced 3 matches so far. Night 1, Tetsuya Naito will defend the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championships against Kota Ibushi. Now, it's all Kota Ibushi. He won back-to-back G1 Climax tournaments. He had the shot. He's lost the shot to Jay White.
Yes.
But Naito said, look, he won back-to-back tournaments. He's getting a shot.
Thank you.
So he is getting a shot. So Kota Ibushi will be able to vie for those titles.
Because I was furious.
That's on night 4, not on night 1, January 4th. Also on January 4th, Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, will take on Will Ospreay. Night 2 on January 5th, whoever wins between Naito and Ibushi will then defend against Jay White, who, as I mentioned, defeated Kota Ibushi at Power Struggle for the title shot. So Jay White will face the winner for the double championships. That's so far what the Wrestle Kingdom card looks like.
I mean, as long as Jay White doesn't win the title, I'm cool. But either one of those two, Naito or Ibushi walking out with it after 2 nights, I mean, that should be an epic clash between those two on night 1.
I gotta be honest. I mean, I like Naito, but I'm gonna lean Ibushi.
I mean, everybody's been waiting for Ibushi.
I'm rooting for Ibushi. Hey, I got to meet him. I mean, there's the picture right there. This weekend, football on the Horn. Longhorns and Cowboys are off. Longhorns getting a big win against West Virginia. Cowboys almost got the win against the Steelers.
No, but they're not playing this week, so that's a big win.
That is, they have the bye. By the way, man. Garrett Gilbert. Speaking of Garrett Gilbert and the Lake Travis Cavaliers, Lake Travis travels to Del Valley. That'll get started with Flex TX at 6:30 with Snoop Daniel. Then our pregame will start at 7:15. Kickoff 7:30. Mark Honig, Bucky Guy Bolt in the booth. I'll be on the sidelines. You can hear that on the Horn 104.9 FM. So that's the only game we have this weekend.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey. Well, and this weekend was supposed to be a bye for Lake Travis, but they had to fill it because the Del Valley game got postponed because of COVID.
Yeah, so now they're making it up.
So they're making it up. So, and check out, Bowie's got a game. I think it's Hayes. I think this week that'll be on 105.3 The Bat.
If that's the case, it should be a good game.
Well, and that's gonna do a lot towards the
playoffs,
seeding
right?
for the playoffs. Now, if 4A schools and below, they start their playoffs. I want to say this week.
Yes.
By the way, my Gladewater Bears, go Bears, beat Mount Vernon.
They beat Art Briles?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to your team.
They will beat. Hopefully they will. It's this Friday.
Oh, I want to beat Art Briles.
Yeah, me too, but it's because I'm a Gladewater Bear. And then, we're getting close, so we'll check it out. That'll do it for this week's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Make sure you follow Justin the Smash Simmons on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at The Smash Simmons. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEWMYRICK. You can follow the show on Twitter at SGTWATX. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. We are proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, and we're proud to be part of the great lineup you hear every day on the flagship station for the Texas Longhorns and your radio home in Austin for the Cowboys. We are the Horn. Catch us Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Central on the Horn, or catch us anytime on demand by going to hornfm.com, click on the on-air tab, or subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. For Justin, I'm Stu. Thank you so much. Happy Veterans Day to all my brother veterans, and we will see you at the matches.
Goodbye and good night. Bang!
And there we go. That's the radio show. We did good. What else did we miss? We'll give some more to the YouTube only audience.
It's tough to say. I really didn't pay attention to WWE stuff this week because I'm
there wasn't much.
Survivor Series has really fallen off of the map for me, like when it comes to importance of WWE pay-per-views. For me, it really my whole year really is built around Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm just like, I really don't care.
Well, it's, fall is usually a busy time for the both of us. And Survivor Series, because there's no titles on the line, there's no...
Well, we do have champion versus champion.
Yeah, but titles aren't on the line. It's just...
Champion versus champion.
I mean, yeah, we'll get to see Asuka versus Sasha Banks. Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion. Sasha Banks, the SmackDown Women's Champion. By the way, congratulations. Sasha Banks, successful defense for the first time
first
ever.
time.
Defeating Bayley last Friday on SmackDown.
So they might let her have a run this time.
Maybe. We'll see. But, some of the other matches, like they've already got New Day defending the Raw Tag Titles against Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander.
I'm okay
next
with
week
that.
on Raw.
I'm okay with that, though.
So you might get that change. So it could be the Hurt Business taking on Street Profits.
I'd still be cool with that.
I'm kind of, but I got to be honest. I think I'd rather see New Day and Street Profits. I think that would be a fun match.
I mean, either way, I would be satisfied with any of those guys having to go against each other.
Roman Reigns, Randy Orton. You got to believe Roman Reigns is going over on that. It'll probably be, Jey Uso will, because he's doing his bidding now.
I was going to say somebody's going to cost somebody. I don't imagine it ends cleanly.
Yeah, so
there will not be one true winner.
Right now, Bobby Lashley, Sami Zayn, U.S. Champion versus Intercontinental Champion. I think that was it. And then the two traditional Survivor Series matches, which, and it's crazy that both of them, it's the exact same storyline. Teams can't get along with each other. Teams can't figure out who's going to be captain. And they barely mention the fact that they're going to face the other brand.
I know.
It's like they got nothing else.
And then out of all of this, it's kind of like, where's NXT? They're just going to take the night off? Especially when
they're not part of it. It's just me, Raw and SmackDown.
I know, but don't you find that a little... I mean, I find it idiotic, especially since they were such a big part of Survivor Series last year.
I think that, like I said, again, I think part of that was because of they had just launched NXT on USA Network, so they wanted to give them a little more.
Yeah, that's all fine. I get what you're saying because you said that last week too.
You mean as for just pure storyline wise?
Not even storyline wise. I'm talking about building stars wise, because without Survivor Series, you don't get Keith Lee. We don't get the big push that Keith is getting because they gave him a huge push that night in front of a pay-per-view audience at what is traditionally one of their big 4 pay-per-views. That's a big statement to make. Even though I don't feel that Survivor Series is important, it doesn't mean that they don't try to make it important. It's their second oldest pay-per-view. It's the one that forced Starrcade to have to move its date.
Yes.
I mean, that's how successful Survivor Series was. It was a huge deal. So for Keith to get the push that he had, I know he didn't win, but he had a huge presence because it announced him to the world. And then after that, we seen him on the main roster. So to deny what is a really talented NXT roster any opportunity to make any waves, I feel that it's underbooking, if that could be possible.
Well, of course it is. It's WWE. Of course it's possible. And I think, I don't know if it's a matter of they just want to keep them separate or they don't. Now, let's also look at another thing. We've had all these different outbreaks of COVID-19 within WWE. So my guess is they're trying to limit who all is there to do the pay-per-view.
That's the only other thing I could think of. But I mean, you should still have an NXT star. You didn't have to have a full Survivor Series match, but
at least add the champions to the champion versus champion matches, make them triple threats.
Not necessarily even triple threats, but I mean, couldn't you put the NXT champion against the 205 Live champion or something?
Well, no, because the Cruiserweight Championship is an NXT title now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I keep on forgetting it's an NXT title.
And by the way, Finn Balor, we don't know if Finn Balor is cleared yet.
Oh, because of the broken jaw.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Let's not forget the NXT champion. We haven't seen him on TV since he won the title.
I mean,
So it might be a case of, look, we don't have a champion to put in there. You got a North American champion. You got Gargano now.
I mean, Gargano is a welcome addition to any card for me, man.
I agree.
Him, Ciampa. If they would have thrown in what's his name with Scarlett Boudreaux.
Killer Cross.
Yes.
Killer Cross is still rehabbing that shoulder injury.
What about
Archer?
Priest?
Damien Priest?
Yeah.
Damien Priest, not Archer. Wrong promotion. The Archer of Infamy,
Yes.
Damien Priest, who I knew as Punishment Martinez. I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, you got this other big dude like him.
Because
like
they
just
had him drop the North American title to Gargano.
Yeah. So
Now it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like
What next?
main roster call-up kind of guy.
You would think.
I guess I keep on saying main roster, but it's still kind of treated like that to me.
It is. It is. Despite the fact that they're on USA Network just like Raw is. It was interesting last week that, and I haven't even seen. So apparently, last week, look, nothing was going to rate with all the election coverage. And so everybody did horribly. But apparently there was like a massive drop-off. If you look at hour to hour on Raw, there was a pretty massive drop-off to the point where there were less viewers for the third hour of Raw than there were for NXT and AEW.
Well, I mean, you have to remember.
And again, election, get that.
Well, not only that, but I mean, Raw's third hour runs into 11 o'clock, right, on the East Coast. So they go.
It's 10 p.m.
So it goes from 10 p.m. to 11.
Right.
On the East Coast.
Right.
So that's pretty late. Not exactly.
But they're used to that.
It's not exactly an early night for kids.
Yeah, but they're used to
but
that.
for the audience that they're trying to attract.
I get
for the
that.
teenagers.
I get that. And they didn't really have anything of substance. And again, this was last week. I haven't even seen the ratings for this week.
Yeah,
but
because
the ratings this week, I don't know what it would look like. Now, you didn't have election coverage. Election's over, so you don't really have election coverage. Monday Night Football, Patriots, Jets. It was a competitive matchup, but
I wasn't gonna watch the Jet
comedy act. It really does seem so, doesn't it?
They were always a comedy act, too.
Well, Miz wasn't. I don't think Miz was.
Oh, no. We have to go
Miz
back.
was a heel.
We gotta go back in time.
But now it really does seem like Miz and Morrison are more of a comedy act than anything.
I mean, that's what it was always going to be, though, when they were put together. I mean, all that John... I was going to call him...
All the what?
I says all that Miz is Johnny Cage. Everybody knows that he's just Johnny Cage. He's just a real-life Johnny Cage. He's a guy that plays a wrestler on TV because he was on the real world. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like his work.
With our own Kevin Dunn.
Exactly. But I love his work. I mean, he put in the effort to become a WWE champion. He's headlined WrestleMania, and he's a good worker. He's a solid mid-card heel.
He is.
I'm just saying that that's where the gimmick derives from. So,
right.
So for him to be like overly comedic, it doesn't bother me. This is just a little bit of stuff that he used to do before he changed up his gimmick somewhat.
I get that.
To add the Hollywood part of it.
Yeah. Let's see what else. I'm trying to think. Like I said, there just wasn't. You didn't see The Fiend this week. You saw Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross tried to come up to her and try to, talk to her straightforward and basically said, look, you got to choose The Fiend or me. And so Alexa Bliss chose The Fiend, of course. So are we going to see a match with them? Or is this just going to be, I don't know.
So it's like Killian Dane going to come back, and then we're going to get like a tag team match?
No, Killian Dane is tagging with Drake Maverick in NXT.
Well, I mean, doesn't mean that he can't be brought over for no reason. That happens all the time.
It does, but, I'm not sure they'll do that. Not for this. So,
because it would seem that she would need a tag team partner, just in case.
I'm not sure we're going to see mixed tag. We're going to see, it's going to be Alexa versus Nikki. My first instinct is that this will be Nikki trying to snap Alexa out of whatever spell she's in.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we all know it's not going to work. So,
Well, but eventually, again, it's WWE. They'll find a way to drag it out. But I would think in normal booking, the end has to be something of the effect of Alexa snaps out of it and goes back to her true self. But who knows? Let's see, what else did we miss? I think that's about it, really. Major League Wrestling returns next week. They've got two title matches for their restart, MLW Fusion. David Boy Smith Jr. will challenge Jacob Fatu for the MLW World Heavyweight title. Brian Pillman Jr. will challenge Myron Reed for the World Middleweight title. They start, so that goes next Wednesday. I think you can see it Wednesday on YouTube and Fubo Sports Network, and then Saturday on BN Sports.
I have to admit, I do like the social media buildups that they have given for every wrestler. So
Yeah.
like everybody has like a slide card that kind of gives you a nice overview of where they came from and their specialties and some of their non-wrestling interests, which was interesting. But I mean, it was a nice touch.
Who the rivals are.
Yeah, so it kind of gave you an idea of how MLW shapes up before you even jump back into the show. So almost like an instruction manual, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, in case you forgot, here's what we look like.
Yeah, and these are the guys that are going to be our main players. So you just, you can read up on them on Twitter, and they've done a good job of getting everybody set.
You still got the Von Erichs as the tag team champions, Ross and Marshall. I think right now it's going to be Team Filthy challenging for those eventually. I don't know if it'll happen next week, but it'll happen eventually. You'll have to see what happens with Contra Unit if they because they took over the MLW headquarters and now they've apparently been beaten back by the MLW stars, and so how will Contra Unit try to take over again? So I mean, I've been to the two tapings that were here in Texas and had a good time. I think this again one more little bit of wrestling to keep up with, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, they've been putting out a good product, before the stoppage. So.
It'll be interesting to see what it looks like too, because again, they're not taping in front of crowds. At least I'm pretty sure they're not. Just Impact is empty arena, Ring of Honor's empty arena. So I would assume MLW will be where they're taping it. Are they going to do it in New York? They always use that one nightclub in Queens that I got to go to, and I was so proud of myself because I rode the subway from Manhattan to Queens.
I've never ridden the subway there.
And back.
Nice.
It was great.
But I was like, I'm not sure. Their restrictions might be different, so that might not even be open.
That's another.
More than likely.
Yeah, that's another thing. So, well, I'll tell you what. Probably time for us to sign off. So we can get this in the can and go about our business. I got a game to get ready for on Friday night.
Shoot, I got one to get ready for too.
Yeah, I forget to ask you. What are you calling?
It's okay, man. I was all like, I haven't had a lot of games to call, but this week I have a good one. I think I have Stephen F. Austin against Pittsburgh State. That's who they're playing this week
in football.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, Lumberjacks.
Yep. So ESPN 3.
Wendy Hastings, Chad's lovely wife, is a
she
SFA.
she texted me last time.
Good,
because she was all like, I thought. Oh, Chad recognized my voice because I guess they were watching the game live.
Yes.
Because I did the Angelo State game about a month ago. Yeah, it's been about a month.
Yeah.
So this is their last home game, and they just needed somebody last minute. So
by the way,
big
thanks to Chad Hastings and Dan Neal joining me on the Sunday Night Football watch party this week for what we thought was going to be an absolute classic with Saints and Buccaneers. Turned out to be anything but
classic ass kicking.
Yeah, that was it. Good Lord! I mean, the Buccaneers look like they could not get anything going.
It's still year one with that whole unit together,
No
off season.
It is, but
Tom Brady's not Tom Brady without the scheme all the time,
And oh, by the way, anybody that doubts Drew Brees, don't count him out just yet.
I mean, but that whole team is really good, though.
Oh, they are so good. Yeah, they are really good. So
I mean, they're definitely not the Cowboys, but they're good.
Cowboys wish they had half of that. I say that. Look,
I mean, we have a really good quarterback when he's not hurt.
I'm a lifelong Cowboys fan, so I was proud of Garrett Gilbert. I really was.
No, he played good.
He played really well.
And the defense played well for once.
He got a shot. Yeah, defense did well. If they could have found a way to stop Pittsburgh that one last drive, then
that was asking a lot.
It is asking a lot, but
even if it's against the backup.
Kudos to Garrett Gilbert.
But hey, the one thing I do know is that that CD Lamb guy, he showed it off in college and he's showing it as a pro. The guy's the real deal, man.
He is.
He deserves to wear the 8-8. He's that good.
He is fantastic. He really is. Speaking of 88s, did you see Dez Bryant?
Yes, that's my boy.
Getting signed by the Ravens. He's with the
he
practice squad.
He got to play last week.
He's on the active week. Yeah, I thought I saw him.
Yeah, he got to make the.
Speaking of receivers that got to play, Antonio Brown was on the field for the Patriots last night.
Again, well deserved. He worked his way back.
Or not Patriots.
Buccaneers.
Yeah, it was Buccaneers. Yeah, he was on the field for the Buccaneers. Had a few targets.
Exactly. I was going to say he's got to work his way into it, but I mean.
Oh, he'll be. Yeah, they've. This is going to be one of those things where, Tom Brady's kind of become the Michael Jordan of that team. Because Tom's the one that wanted him in the first place.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's a talented receiver.
But yeah, if AB starts to do AB stuff, Tom's going to say get out.
Maybe. I mean, when it really comes down to it, though, Stu, if Tom's not winning games already, it doesn't matter what he has to say. He's not like the owner of the team. True. He's not LeBron. LeBron's winning championships with wherever he goes.
Yeah, that's also true.
And that's something that Tom Brady hasn't been able to prove. And no offense, if you're a 41-year-old, 42-year-old quarterback, doesn't matter how well you take care of your body. They already
eventually
they went for broke, hoping that they're going to win a Super Bowl this year or next year with that. Yeah. But if it doesn't happen, then they're going to have to start all over again. Yeah. So, I mean, I think they're more than happy to let the old hand go if it meant, we have to rebuild now. So, because you couldn't win the championship. We don't care what you have to say now.
No matter what, Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah, for the most part, unless your name's LeBron.
Well, he's not that old.
He's 36.
Yeah, but,
That's ancient in pro years.
Well, and especially he didn't play college ball, so.
Yeah, but that means that he played pro
so
games.
Played more, yeah.
Yeah, from the years 18 to 36,
so
man.
He's got 18 years now.
Him and Russell Wilson are what? They're the only players that spend over $1 million on their body, just recoup food, things like that.
Yeah, I think so. So,
all right,
anyway, all right, we're gonna sign off. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. We'll be back next week, but for now, for Justin, I'm Stu. We'll see you at the matches.